Hiya guys, and welcome back to Abe's Workshop. So back in the shed this weekend. What have we been doing? Okay, I've made the valves. I made them twice, but I don't show that in the video. I showed the making of them correctly. But yeah, there wasn't much to them in the end. The problem being they were small diameter and deflection and all that. That's a long story. You'll see how I went about it. So I made the valves. They're finished. Well, all but the cross drilling. We make some advancement on the bow chest valve assembly for the Webster engine. So further to that, I also show progress on the electricals for the mini lathe. You know, this is the nitty-gritty, the mechanical stuff. I find easy. Well, not easy, but you know, I sort of think about it and do it. The electrical stuff, I've got to think a bit deeper because I'm no electrician, and I do say that a bit later on. I'm no electrician. I'm just doing it the best I can, as safe as I can that I know of, taking advice, what have you. You'll see anyway, but we make some progress. So hope you enjoy, guys. Cheers now. So we're going to make the valves. I've got collet chuck up, and I've got 01 silver steel drill rod, whatever we're going to call it, in the chuck. Now this is 6.5mm. Why I've got a piece of 6.5mm, I've no idea, but that's what I've got. Finished OD has got to be 250 thou, so it's about 5 thou to come off on the major diameter, but there's only a very short area of major diameter. So with that said, I've got the compound already set up at the 45-degree angle, which is going to be the underside of the valve, underside, which is at 45 degrees. So the stem of the valve stem, I've gauged up the holes in the guides, so let's just bring one in. I've gauged up the hole through there, and that, well, a 2.5mm drill bit, which the shank of it measured on my mic at 2.47, just fits nicely. So I'm going to aim for that size, 2.47, you know, near enough. I'll aim for 2.5, and then if we got to polish the last bit, then so be it. So we'll fire her up, face her off, and then I'm going to turn back, roughing first, back 23mm at parallel. So that's step one. So let's just, okay, set a 0 there. And I'm going to go 23mm back. That should give me enough parallel to get the overall length right at the end of 1 inch. It may be a little bit too long, but I can always reduce it. So 3mm. I'm getting a bit of deflection here. I could speed that up a bit. Just going to give myself maybe 0.15 aside. So I'm going to use my feed, I think. See how that looks. Okay, so we'll start turning this down. Now there's going to be a lot of springing in this, so I may have to do, you know, spring passes, what have you, when I get down to size. Or we're going to end up with a taper, so the end closest to the camera there will end up a larger diameter than down at the root. Seems to be behaving fine at the moment. So one thing of note, just so that I've got a reference, you'll see that my compound here on the end is flush, and I've got a 0 set here on the dial at that, in this direction. So basically I can put the taper on and come back to where I was without losing diameter to a degree. I'm taking 0.15 aside, so 0.3 off with each pass here at the moment. I'll probably drop that down to 0.1 a pass as we get down to diameter. So when we get to about 2.7, I'll rough out the shoulder on it. So I will show you that. So I'm just going to keep taking a you know, quite repetitive, 0.3 at a time or 0.15 a side at a time, till we get down somewhere near into my 23 mark. There we go, and then I'll bring you back when we're getting close. So all bar the tiniest bit, we're there now. So I'm just going to finish this taper. So without moving the cross slide, I've just wound back in with the carriage to that 23 mark. Okay. And then rough that out on there. So if I just put that back, when I do the second one, my readings should be pretty close when I come to finish the second one. So I thought I'd do that while that was cooling down a bit. My size on the end now is 2.50. Can you see it? 2.501, and at the root it's actually 2.506. So I've got a little taper in there. Now that's cooled down, let's try that on there. Yeah, it's still fitty. Okay, so I think my size that I gauged it to was 2.470. So 0.03 to come off, which is just over a thou in my Old English version. So I think I need to polish along the whole length now. Rather than concentrating on the end, we've overcompensated for spring. So some 15 minutes later, okay, that fits, and just the smallest amount of appreciable play in there. So I think I'm going to call that. So rather than swap tooling and part it off now, what I'm going to do is call that done. I'm going to take this short piece of bar out, put it in the lathe the other way round, and do the other end, because I've got all my readings set, or all bar the shouting here, so I know what I'm doing with it. So actually I am wrong. I need to do that peak diameter to size. Let me just measure it up. It's got to be 250. Well, the drawing says 1/4 inch, 250. Let's just (2.554). Okay, so yeah, probably like 0.1 to come off. So I'll just do a scratch pass and we'll have a measure. Getting close to the chuck here. Go on, touch. Okay. This diameter only needs to be, or once it's parted off and faced, is only going to be 1/2 mil wide, 20 thou. 252 thou, and it's not critical. (251.5). Okay, that should be it. Well, 25055. Alright, let's take another scratch. Polish that, but okay. I think we should be there all by the shouting now. 24978. Yeah, that's the way it rolls, isn't it? Okay, so now spin it round in the chuck. So, got my tools here for the collet chuck. Make sure I don't bash the end of that bar. Okay, I'll put that in the other way around. I think I had 28 mils stuck out last time. Sort of bare bones of what I can do. That's about it, really. Okay. Okay. So, rinse and repeat, exactly the same thing again, guys. So, taking the compound back off, put my solid tool post back on, and I'm just going to part that off, leaving a bit of spare. Probably a mil too much. Okay, dust that one off. Oh, where'd I go, where'd I go? Yeah, there it is. Okay, put him to one side. So swap her around now, get the other one out from in there. Just hiding, oh, on the other end of this piece of bar. Pushed it in. Okay, never mind. So once we parted the two of these off, I'm going to put them back up in a 2 to 3 collet then. I probably over tightened that as well. Put them back up in a 2 to 3 collet. Let's have a bit of fluid in my brush. That was a bit dry last time. Okay, can you see? Yes, you can see. Okay, caught that one. Alright, so swap collets, put them back up this way round, face them to length. So 2 to 3 collet in there. A little bit rusty on the end, that one. I don't think, I mean, it very rarely gets used, so it doesn't get oil off my fingers on it or anything like that. So we'll give that a little bit of a scotch frying before we finish with it. So the parallel part at 250 needs to finish at half a millimetre thick, 25. Not critical. Half a mil. Yeah, touch more. Okay, I'm just going to just polish that corner. Let's have that rust off that collet while I'm at it. You know, a bit more respectable. Anyway, so that's one done. Do the second one in exactly the same way, and we'll be good to go. So it's coming together now. As you can see, I've fitted the two rods, little valves. I've got an appropriate spring for the exhaust valve side, and I've just made up, you can see it there, a little ferrule. I'm going handheld on the camera here, so that spring fits nicely over there. Oop, going all out of shot, and then fits there as a little retaining cap. I need to make a decision on a pin now for this. So once it's assembled, I need a cross pin to hold the spring and the retainer in place. I think I'm going to go for like 1 mil, so I may turn up something, a little pin, turn something up 1 mil diameter, drill a hole in here and just make something that's just a little tap fit. Maybe there's going to be a dab of Loctite on it or something during final assembly. I mean, it shouldn't go far because it's going to be held in with a retainer and it'll always be under pressure, but yeah, so that's another tiny little thing to make going forward. So I'm just re-grooving a set of darts here for one of you guys, Stuart, so apologies for the long delay in getting these done, but I'm on it now this morning in the shed. The white paper underneath is purely for me to see the tool alignment. I don't know whether it shows. I've got the tiniest of little parting tools. It's 1/2 mil wide, and we've got a 1 mil step over with every groove. So I'm basically doing these one groove to a depth, swapping darts, going to the next one, going to the next one, then moving along in this orientation by 1 mil, regrooving, setting a depth, and then doing the next one. So I'm going a set depth from touch on the original surface, and then basically repeating it by swapping them over in the chuck, 1, 2, 3. Once I've done these rear grooves, I'm going to come back and just sharpen up the front grooves then with a probably be able to get away with using this tool as well. So yeah, difficult for me to get in there, but I shall try. So this is number 2. That's me shaking. Into my 0, back out, swap to the next dart. Okay, so that's them finished off. Re-grooved all these back grooves, recut them basically, and they're nice and sharp now for a rear grip. And then I've recut the original large grooves, basically just gone to the bottom, just a touch, not even a thou off the bottom diameter, and then just scratched off the front shoulder of each groove, like 2 thou probably, just to sharpen up the front corner or the front edge on all these grips, so that the grip is, as you throw sort of forward, the grip is facing back towards your fingers to stop your fingers slipping up the shaft of the dart. So yeah, I'm quite happy with those. Ready to come back to you, Stuart. So I made a bit of progress. I fitted the 2 boxes back up on the wall now for the mini lathe. I have the on-off switch, or the enable switch here for the stepper motor for the feed. Directional for the feed is in the bottom here. The feed motor is the rear connection of these 2 here. Power out to the 3-phase motor. That's basically just running down through the box and out through there. I put the mains earth in. We've got an earth, so this metal socket, which has got the 230 volt 3-phase, that metal socket is grounded. There's a ground stud on the back of the box sticking out the back here as well, so I can feed that on to the lathe and then ground everything up. So it's all grounded via what's going to be the 13 amp plug that connects the box. Electrics, guys, I'm not saying I'm an expert on this. I'm making it as safe. It's only me in the shed. I'm making it as safe as I can. You know, there's not, you know, the live things, there's nothing touching. One of the reasons I went for plastic boxes was, you know, for more and more safety. I could have put a metal box in, grounded the box, I suppose. But yeah, these boxes are cheap and cheerful. And yeah, that's just the way I'm going. So I'm not saying this is the right way to do it. It's organised to the point where I can understand and I can write a list of what does what. So if I come back to it with a fault in years to come, I know what's wrong. So yeah, basically, I'm wide open to criticism. I'm not an electronics guy. I'm not an electrician. I'm a toolmaker by trade. I've done a bit, and I know roughly what I'm doing with this stuff. And obviously, YouTube has helped with various, you know, how to wire up a stepper motor, that sort of thing. So, yeah, I just thought I'd put that disclaimer in. Yes, I know there's going to be loads of criticism, but yes, I probably do know that this isn't the ideal way to do it, but this is the way I've done it, and I'm happy with it. The fact that there's 3 live pins on here, I'm never going to disconnect this. If I disconnect the lathe to take the lathe away, then it's going to be unplugged at the mains and there'll be no power anyway. So yeah, I do work sensible in that way. So a bit more progress on the back of the lathe. I've simply run a 3-core flex into the plug. That's going for the 3-phase for the motor. There's an earth wire as well. You can see it's cable tied to it. I've run a separate earth. I've run it onto the main motor body, and I've also bounced the earth on via another nice thick earth lead onto the main body, or the bed of the mill, so the ground is passing through. So happy with that. And you'll see the big white box. Let me just come down. So I've got a white box on the back of the headstock here, a plastic box. I just happen to have one here, so I'm using what I've got. Yeah, I mean, obviously I've got the lid to it. It's been hanging around in the shed here for goodness knows how long. So I'm going to run in the bottom of here. I'm going to run the cables out to the sockets on the wall bracket. So there'll be multi-core cables or multiple cables coming out with a plug on the end, which will run up and plug into that box. Then I'm going to put a terminal rail in here, and all the wiring of the lathe is going to come in on the underside of here, and then eventually, where are we? On the underside of here, all the wiring from the lathe is going out to the wall, is going to come through the bottom of this box. I don't think I'll use a plug and socket. I'll just use a cable gland to bring them in. I'll probably get 3 of them in here, 3 cable glands. So all the cables from the lathe will come into this box, into a terminal rail, and back out to the various plugs up on the wall. So that's my thinking for that. Obviously at some point moving forward, I'm going to have to put a guard down through here, through the motor, to keep all the swarf this end, so there will be some sheet metal work, I'd have thought, going on there at some point in the future. I actually need to keep my eye open for a sheet of aluminium. I think I'll make the guard out of aluminium. It's easier for me to bend that and rivet it together and what have you, make a swarf tray back off this end. Yeah, and obviously I'm going to have to guard this belt. I've got the original guard on the end there, just placed in place so I know what's what, where's in the way, where's not. So yeah, I mean, I am moving forward with it. Small steps. I am showing you what I'm doing, so that, you know, I don't know, re-explain. I want to be able to take the lathe away, so unplug it from the wall, take it away, move it, put it away, put it somewhere else, while, you know, so I've got the bench space if I'm not using the small lathe. Maybe just tuck it up in the corner, but at least I've got that option if I have it plug and play onto its control panel. All the inverter, everything else, all up on the wall there. So yeah, you can see a 3-core cable hanging down, a nice, I think it's 1.5mm flex 3-core, and obviously it's going to be plugged into that multiple extension lead on the wall there. I could plug it straight into the wall, but I'm sure it's going to be absolutely fine. If that's the case, I will plug it straight into my ring main if it causes a problem. Okay, so as you saw, there was a bit more to those valves. You know, it wasn't easy. Getting that diameter right to fit the valve guides was a bit of a faff, and there was a lot of polishing involved, as you probably saw. Hopefully I don't show too much of it in the edit. Anyway, so the mini lathe's coming along nicely as well, so happy days on that. Yeah, basically I do a bit on a Webster engine, and while I'm doing that, I'm thinking about the mini lathe and what's next. How can I move forward in small steps? But yeah, there's no great leaps and bounds, but it's going to get to a point where all the wiring's done, and I'm just going to make sure then that everything works. Once I've done that, I'll then look at the guarding. Once I've got all the guarding, you know, the swarf tray, all that in place, the belt guarding, and I know, you know, that it's all how I want it. There may be a few modifications left yet, but nothing that I have to change drastically. Once I get to that point, it's stripped the whole machine down back to bare bones, and it's going to get its good clean up, paint and all the rest of it. So look forward to doing that. Hopefully that'll be in the summertime when the weather's a bit drier and the paint will take a bit better, but we'll see. I can see a good 6 months left in that yet. Maybe not so long for the Webster engine, but a good 6 months left in the mini lathe. But again, I have got the Alexander to pick up once the Webster's finished, or if the Webster ever gets finished. So anyway, guys, as usual, thank you so much for watching. Thanks for subscribing, and we'll see you all very soon. Cheers now.